I'm back with an interesting one today. Kaspersky protection for Linux is now available, what they call a new standard of security. We're going to be getting into what Kaspersky for Linux is and what's new here, as Linux is now getting a consumer-grade security suite from Kaspersky in an interesting move. We'll also talk about should you actually be installing something like this on Linux and what my thoughts are. But for those of you unaware, Kaspersky is made by Kaspersky Lab, which is a Russian multinational cybersecurity and antivirus provider, and headquartered in Moscow, Russia, and operated by a holding company in the United Kingdom, which that branch seemed to close down in 2024. And this is directly from the wiki, as Kaspersky Antivirus is a proprietary antivirus program developed by Kaspersky Lab, and it's really designed to protect people from malware. And in this move, they've now released Kaspersky for Linux available to home users. What does that mean? Well, before, Kaspersky actually had a Linux-based suite, but for business users. And the offering would have things like real-time behavior monitoring, anti-phishing, web protection, scanning of files, checking signature, etc. But again, not for home users. This new development means that everyone has access to Kaspersky if they want to download it and install it directly on Linux. So let's get into the good and the bad here. As the announcement was, great news for all Linux users. Our product line for home users now includes Kaspersky for Linux. Our cybersecurity solution with the highest number of global accolades now delivers maximum protection for home users across all their devices running Windows, Linux, macOS, Android, and iOS, all with one Kaspersky for Linux subscription. You have to have a subscription to the suite in order to actually run this product. Interestingly enough, it does bring Linux up to feature parity with other operating systems like Windows and Mac OS in terms of consumer level protection. And as threats are rising for ransomware, supply chain attacks, and other things like crypto miners, most home users aren't properly sandboxing their applications or even checking what scripts that they're running. So it is an interesting gap that's being filled here, as Linux malware is on the rise. Over the last 5 years, at least claimed by Kaspersky here, we've grown 20-fold in Linux malware. Now, of course, that's a little interesting coming from a antivirus developer. We'll get into that. But this does create more choice for users, better protection against phishing and malicious sites. But it also comes with some interesting challenges, as this is a closed source antivirus. And Linux users typically value transparency, auditability, so you can check what's actually in source code, and of course, just open source software. So the claim here is if you thought Linux was immune to cyber threats, it's time to rethink that view. The number of malicious programs targeting this operating system has increased 20-fold over the past 5 years. These threats include miners, ransomware, and even malware embedded into source code of popular applications. For instance, last year's attack involving a backdoor in the XZ archiving utility, which is built into many popular Linux distributions, could have become the most widespread attack on the Linux ecosystem in its entire history. So for those of you who are unaware of the XZ backdoor incident, it was known as the XZ Utilities backdoor. It was a serious supply chain compromise, as a malicious contributor infiltrated the XZ project over many years, gained the trust of the main maintainer, and inserted a backdoor into the XZ lib LZMA versions 5.6 and 5.6.1, which would allow hackers to actually infiltrate computers that had those XZ utilities installed. And XZ utilities are used everywhere, including in SSH servers, systemd, packaging tools, compression utilities, and even more. The malicious code in liblzma would become active under certain conditions and modify behavior to the OpenSSH server if it was installed on the affected devices. It would essentially allow remote attackers to authenticate without a valid login and targeted major distributions. And I think it's kind of silly that they're including this here as one of the reasons that you would need Kaspersky, as I don't understand how they would have even detected a backdoor here, because this is an antivirus suite, which does not detect these kind of compromises. This was not a virus, Trojan, or miner incident, which these antivirus tools primarily detect. The XZ backdoor was actually inserted in a build chain, not executed in a standalone binary. That means the backdoor was hidden and obfuscated in build scripts, which would modify other scripts. So classic AV tools or antivirus tools like Kaspersky, ClamAV, and others would not have caught this backdoor. I don't think this is a fair point, as the antivirus alone would not have prevented the XZ backdoor, but it does show an instance of how Linux is getting attacked. So what can Kaspersky do for Linux? Here are some important use cases. As monitoring the system, devices, and individual files to detect and eliminate malware, this AV process can run in the background and continuously monitor whether files or malicious files are getting introduced to the computer. Think about file servers, for example. This is a big issue when it comes to Linux. Now, there are Samba shares or file storage servers that can be set up on Linux. And this allows users to dump any files that they want into your server and access them from anywhere on the network. Well, in that case, we don't really have a good solution for this where you're constantly checking files as they're coming into the file server and making sure that they're safe so you don't propagate malware, for example. This is where something like active monitoring from something like Kaspersky would be useful. So scanning removable media connected to PC, including USB drives, hardwares for threats, similar situation there, right? You're transferring USBs across different computers and you want to make sure that there's nothing malicious on there. Detecting malware through behavior analysis on the device, providing proactive defense. I don't necessarily like this or the phrasing of this. This seems like tracking or monitoring process, tracking system calls, noting which apps talk to what or what servers, and looking for incongruency. So it does feel like telemetry or data collection in here. As behavioral detection, anytime I hear that, is not active antivirus scanning. It seems closer to telemetry to detect abnormalities and watch for certain things like injectors, trojans, and system level anomalies. Anyways, protecting against malware on the internet, alerting users when they attempt to follow a phishing link. So what is Kaspersky going to be available on? Kaspersky for Linux supports major 64-bit Linux distributions, including Ubuntu, Alt Linux, Uncom, and Red OS. They give minimum system requirements, including 2 gigs of RAM and 4 gigabytes of free disk space. You can install it today by signing up for a Kaspersky account and then automatically downloading either the free trial version or getting a subscription and downloading the full version. And overall, it is an interesting move. Now, there are alleged ties of Kaspersky being engaged with the Russian government, something that has been denied. And regardless, there have been many governments who have completely banned the use of Kaspersky software on government computers. Regardless of if this is true or not, I want to show you an alternative, something that I deem better for most Linux users when it comes to situations like scanning files on a Linux server and on USBs. But before we do, if you enjoy videos like this, make sure to subscribe below and smash that like button on the way back up. Let's talk about ClamAV or Clam Antivirus. ClamAV is an open source GPL antivirus toolkit for Unix designed especially for email scanning and mail gateways. It provides a number of utilities, including a flexible and scannable multi-threaded daemon, a command line scanner, and advanced tool for automatic database updates. It has built-in support for all standard mail file formats, various archive formats, executable formats, and popular document formats. The core package of this antivirus engine is available in a form of a shared library. So this is a free software that's cross-platform, which is actually truly open source, as it's maintained and given to us by the Cisco Talos group. Yes, this is actually open source and public. From the Cisco Talos group, ClamAV is available for installation and is an open source antivirus engine and can do much of what Kaspersky is claiming to be able to help with. It's available for Linux as well, Mac OS, and Windows, and you can even build it from source if you really want to. The licensing is for public open source use under the GNU GPL license version 2. And this is what I would actually suggest installing. So let's go check out how easy it is to install something like this and use. If I log into Ubuntu here and I go to my terminal, I can install ClamAV pretty quickly. If I do sudo apt update, type in my password, and after my mirrors get updated, I can do sudo apt install clam, not calm, ClamAV, and the ClamAV daemon. And look at that, it was found in one of the repos. Great. You can also do this on Arch-based distributions or even Fedora with DNF. And now we can clear things out and we can use something called clam scan to scan a specific file or directory. We can also set this up in like a cron job or some supervisor task to run automatically, say every few hours, minutes, whatever. But we can just choose a path to a folder. So I'm just going to do the home directory and there we go. First, we're going to load any signatures that are missing, and that might take a few minutes if it's the first time that you've ran it. And after that, we compile and then we scan through all the files and check signatures. Now, of course, this is going to take a while as there's many files to go through and signatures to check. But at the end, you'll see a scan summary. And based on the database, there's 8.7 million known viruses. It tells you how many directories were scanned, files scanned, and if any were infected. It also tells you how long that took. So in order to get through 2,500 scanned files, it took us around 74 seconds or 1 minute and 14 seconds. Now you can see how we can set up a cron job that runs automatically. For example, if I had a Samba shared server and I had some sort of shared directory, Windows computers could upload to something like let's see, I'm not going to have this server Samba shared directory. Well, I could scan this directory ever so often to check for malicious files and get rid of them with ClamAV. So Clam actually covers most use cases for people on Linux. And of course, any type of antivirus is going to add overhead to Linux. People like the fact that Linux is bloat-free. Well, antivirus is one of the things that is absolutely not bloat-free and can give users even a false sense of security, as antivirus does not help you necessarily with security. Linux security depends on way more than just antivirus alone. You've got to make sure that the packages that you're actually downloading are authentic. For example, make sure that hashes do line up with each other. Using sandboxing whenever you're trying out something maybe suspicious is another good way to stay safe. Checking file permissions, using sudo only in instances where you absolutely need it to elevate your administrative privileges, making sure that kernel security patches are up to date, that you're using safe repositories, and avoiding random curl or bash scripts. Make sure you always check your package builds if you're using something like user repositories, and always avoid anything outside of the main repositories if you can. So again, this comes with some good and bad. Yes, it will help protect against growing Linux malware. It does bring real-time consumer level features that Linux has lacked in the past. It helps non-technical users install a suite that can help them more easily detect malware. It does expand security above ClamAV's capabilities, mainly the fact that it can run in the background and constantly monitor the system in real time. And mainly, this is ideal for people who are already using Kaspersky products. Now you can use your subscription on Linux as well, but Kaspersky protection for Linux does come with baggage already. There are trust concerns. It contradicts the Linux philosophy of open source, as it is closed source. This is going to give you some performance overhead and bloat. Don't let it give you a false sense of security. And one thing for European users, Kaspersky for Linux isn't ready for GDPR just yet. What does that mean? It doesn't fully comply with the General Data Protection Regulation, which is EU's strict privacy and data protection law. This is a law that requires software to clearly define and disclose data collection and how a user consents to data collection and might matter to you. What is cool about seeing something like this is it does show how Linux is maturing and growing, as companies are seeing it even for the home usage or consumer grade Linux distributions, that big companies are moving towards trying to make things work for Linux. Hopefully we get more dev from future corporations and more investment in Linux. This might be a sign of that, as a consumer grade antivirus is now available on Linux. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Are you using any type of antivirus software on your Linux operating system? Let me know in the comment section below. How do you check for malware or infected files, especially if you're using it as a server that you're storing files or moving files around with? I'd love to hear from you. If you made it to the end of the video, you're a true fan, don't forget to subscribe below and smash that like button. Catch me in a great community on Discord, and I'll catch you in another video. Thanks for watching.